And here comes the DLC reviews for Battlefield 1, after the thrashing of the final 2 content packs. It's time to inspect what the previous content was all about. Hello everyone, Chris back again with you in Gaming Zone, and today marks the third DLC review for Battlefield 1. On our guest lists, They Shall Not Pass expansion pack. I can say it straight ahead, the final 2 DLCs were complete garbage, although I took in the liking the Apocalypse theme and style. Today, however, we have the first content pack that released for this game. Second best at views in memes, this French DLC completely changed my impressions about World War I setting, and for that DICE receives a credit. New locations such as Verdun and Fort de Vaux were introduced, Soissons and Rupture being some no-name garbage for me. Anyway, let's start off with the main dish, shall we? Sadly, I can't that much about them. It's just known that is the most important faction in conflicts that occurred. Although I can tell you straight, the French soldiers, uniforms and even speech are extremely on point, and for sure this impressed me a lot when playing the DLC on release. This team has such a different theme compared to others, mostly focusing on surviving group or something in that style. Good job making this faction a reality. Really love to play this as a French soldier. Frontlines is the game mode introduced with this DLC. Although for me is not the best experience I ever had, most of the people liked the idea of combining Rush and Conquest. It even got a release and for the base game maps, and well, at least for some. Don't consider this review as something very important, I'm just giving my opinions here anyway. DICE did a great job with this one, and the following game modes with future releases fell in quality shortly. The maps have different styles, some breathtaking and some giving birth to hell. The themes for each map is different, gives you an awesome feeling when playing in them. Close quarters, large open fields with poppies, some no-name garbage and forests on fire. Quite an unique atmosphere, leading towards apocalyptic setting. Especially Verdun Heights, which is unique for this DLC. Let's start with the most interesting map, Verdun. The setting of this map is, as mentioned before, gives an apocalyptic feeling to the map. This depends on dynamic weather sadly, because sometimes the map is sunny and looks like a standard base game map, or burning in flames, full with dead trees and mud puddles. The map also contains an interesting Easter egg related to Up movie by Pixar. Nothing new today, but back then it was quite an interesting discovery. The Russian operations layout sadly on this one is not the best out there. The map is prone to severe camping and ticket bleeding, especially when the release took place. It even received 300 tickets compared to normal variants of operations. Going uphill is a very hard task. And from my playing experience, if you lose 2 times there during an operation, you are done for in Fort de Vaux. The claustrophobic fortress, or how I like to call this map, Operation Metro of 1918. You are spinning around in a circle, rushing for objectives, and fighting enemies in close quarters. Gives me some throwbacks to Donia Fortress from Battlefield 3. The map doesn't feature behemoths, same as Verdun Heights, but offers elite kits when a team is losing, and can't bring back the control over objectives. A unique feeling again, this is the only map where most of the action takes place inside, compared to others, prone being more open. But Operations game mode is a painful task to survive. For both teams it's a hard time. The Easter egg for this one was a zombie door, and it recently was updated to reveal the next game of the franchise, Battlefield 5. Honestly, one of the most forgettable maps of the game. I barely have any memories of this map at all, rather encountering the famous tank behemoth Char to see. The setting of the map is quite interesting, set somewhere in the countryside of France. From what I can tell, many people just forgot such a thing existed at all. When the DLC was released for free, I played only 1 round on this map before going back to base game or other DLCs. Conquest is well-balanced, I really love how the fight goes out on this map. Goes by logic that I don't remember its name, so I call it Soissons. Just for keks and lols, so I won't forget the name again when mentioned. The red fields of poppies and bridge, this is how I call this map. It has a very unique style again, with big fields full of red flowers, which take your breath away. Sadly, this is a battlefield, not a tourist trip to spot animals and other stuff. There are tanks, scrapyards, the bridge that can be destroyed, and other interesting content there which sadly I can't remember at all. I managed to play only Conquest on this map, so I have no idea how other game modes work on. Easter egg, Dark Souls reference. Riberol 1918. The only carbine of this game, and a pain in the back to unlock this weapon. Requires 20 headshots or so with MP18 optical to unlock. Not quite enjoyable if you don't like the weapon. It took me about 7 months to get it, and it was when Turning Tides released. Not joking or anything, I got it then by a miracle. Could unlock it earlier, but I was very busy at the time. Having the bipod offers you an interesting method of shooting the weapon when playing as assault class. Feels like M4A1, but with a much slower rate of fire and a big heavier recoil. In 2018 the weapon got an optical variant released. Prayers of players have been heard by the developers. RSC 1918. One weird weapon at the release of DLC, but a fantastic friend after TTK 2.0 patch. Packing a punch, you could kill enemies with just 2 bullets. This weapon is the most powerful DMR in the game, but comes at a cost of slower rate of fire and bigger recoil than others. Do you want to kick that sniper's soul out of the body while playing as a medic? Try out this one, you won't regret it. Lebel Model 1886. I'm going to say it now, I have no experience whatsoever with this weapon. I can't make the requirements in just 1 round or so, because either I'm lazy or the game just goes too fast for me. I have managed to unlock the infantry variant, and I can tell you reloading this sniper takes ages, similar to Deo 12 in Battlefield 4. Let me tell you a tip, don't use K bullets in pair with Lebel. If you don't want to see a constant bolt moving just to insert a goddamn bullet inside a tube. But firing sound is one of the most likable from the game. The legendary Shawshat, called by me Hakat or Fatad. No offense to the original creator of this weapon, but you know, running around with this garbage that is barely usable is not quite the best experience. In game the stats have been altered, giving it a 320 RPM, but a damage model of 32 at the DLC release. The punch is now much more powerful with the TTK update. One thing I can say about this weapon, man, it's a very deadly tool when in right hands. Once went on a rampage with this thing, and for sure not disappointed when used at the right moment. Oh, and yeah, it's one hell of a nemesis when used at long ranges. Around 20 damage, even far targets get destroyed. Diced managed to screw up the shotgun balance in Battlefield 1. A10 Hunter was destroying the trenches, and to this day it's the same story. Sjogren at first was a very powerful shotgun, giving damage similar to a pump-action version. It even got a futuristic design, even for our time. You have to admit on that one. But with TTK 2.0 this weapon was ruined. It lost some pellets and it barely leaves a dent in the enemy. A weapon murdered after the patch. I have added this behemoth in vehicle section because you know, it's a tank. Sadly, I didn't even try to enter and even drive this huge and monstrous fortress. It has a lot of seats, a lot of health and is capable of eradicating everything on its path in right hands. I had the experience to fire from the machine gun mounted somewhere on the top, but the memories are very vague from that experience. Just be sure, this one hosts tons of power, and when used right, it can cause a turn of events in the battle. That's for sure. The first tank to be added in a DLC release, and is very popular to this day. From what I can tell, many people already rode in this vehicle, and there is no point to cover it. But I can say, man, it's a powerful tool in close distances, and that feature with pigeons is quite an interesting concept. Siege Howitzer, a typical stationary TOW converted into a mortar. Nothing much to say, an interesting vehicle, but not eye-catching at all. And the final piece of this DLC, the elite class called Trench Raider. Quite an interesting specimen running around with that spike bat, producing some interesting sounds that would get me demonetized if shown in a much different way. Sometimes I have a feeling it's too bullet spongy, especially in the moment when you think he is going to be killed by you, only to get a surprise comeback and find out he has more than half of the life intact. Weird fella indeed. In conclusion, this DLC is one of the biggest game changers, which included real content compared to the final two releases. The theme featuring in unique maps, weapons which are interesting and give you a challenge to unlock, and of course vehicles, elite class, and the only behemoth released in a DLC. Others can't show off themselves with stuff like that. The first and the best release for Battlefield 1's Premium Pass service. This was it for today. Stay tuned for the final paid DLC release, In the Name of the Tsar, where I will cover the Russian army and the spin-off maps related to Russian Revolution. Until then, don't forget to subscribe for more content like this, click that bell stuff to receive my notifications when I release videos on my channel, give me some opinions down in the comments below. I would like to hear your opinion there. Thank you for watching this video, this was Chris, see you in the gaming zone.